So let's just try to run this and see if we are going to get an output. Yeah, and you can see that we are also able to get an output. You can also, I think there is a somewhere you are creating. Let me check. Yeah, we can also change this one too. We can also create this using the dict constructor. So let's see how you can do it very fast. Creating a dictionary. Oops. Using the dict constructor. So the first thing is to indicate the name of your I think the first thing is to indicate the name of your dictionary, which is car in this case. Okay, is in caps. Car is equals to then dict. We have dict, and then inside it we have a brand is Ford, model is Mustang, and then the year is 2020. So, and also if we just happen to print these, we can just comment out these. I should also be able to get the same output as we were getting from these. So that is how you can use the dict constructor uh, to create a dictionary. It's just that easy, by the way. So I think that's all about the dictionary. So I don't know if there is any question on that. So if no question, let's get into the tuples in Python. And tuples are used to store multiple items in a single variable also. But one thing with I think in the cases of list and dictionary, we have seen that you can change the immutable, or you can change values in those data structures. But now when it comes to tuples, you cannot change anytime you put, maybe let's say when anytime you create a tuple with a certain values, you cannot change. And we say that the tuples are unchangeable, or they are immutable, but also they are ordered. And by ordering, we said that they are indexed, that is from index 0 to that is index 0 to I think to infinity. But all you have so many elements in the tuple. I think that's all about that's all about the tuples. That is the characteristics of tuples. I think we can just jump into how they are created. With this one, we use also the parentheses. Use the parentheses also to create these, such that maybe we can have. Let me just start with the syntax here. Oops. Um, Let me just start with the syntax. Oops, sorry. I think it's just here. Yeah, it's here. So let's start with the syntax. So we can have syntax. So we normally have the tuple name. I think even I can just press tab to autocomplete. So we can have tuple, we have tuple name and then the assignment operator, and then item 1, item 2, item 3. So that is the syntax for creating a tuple, and this is a good example here. I think you can just change this one to fruits. So when we are printing, we can change this one to fruits. So this is basically this is how we create a tuple. It's just that easy. And as I said, that tuple items are ordered, unchangeable, and allow duplicates values. So with also with tuples, you can have duplicates. But remember the dictionary, you cannot have a duplicate, right? So I think you should note that that slight difference between these data structures. So when we say that tuple items are indexed, the first item, of course, it will take the index 0, the second one will take 1, etc. So meaning it can go up to infinity. Um, for the duplicate part, I think you can even add, we can add a duplicate value here. Let's maybe we can repeat Apple. Let's just try to run this and see what we get. Let me indicate that this is a tuple. So when you run this, you should get an output of the elements that we have in here, right? But if we just try, let's just try to change something here. Let's try to change the first element or the first value here. We say to change the first element, we always use the you call the name of the tuple. Then you indicate the index. We can see that we want to change index 0. And then let's try to set it to something like orange and see what happens. Let's try to run this. Oops, orange. So let's read this error that we are getting. When I ran this, in fact, it didn't run successfully. So I'm kind of getting some error here. And if you check the type error, we are getting tuple object does not support item assignment. So meaning that we cannot change the value. This is why we are saying that it is unchangeable or unmutable. So you cannot change anytime you initialize your tuple with certain values, those values will remain the same. You cannot change them. So that is that is how that is one one characteristic of tuple. And that's how it operates. Let's say how you can use these now. Let's say maybe you have in cases where you want to in cases where you want to have IDs. You notice that with ID maybe let's say you don't want with an ID you cannot change the ID, right? So anytime you are given you are assigned a certain ID, the ID number, you cannot change that. It will remain the same forever. That one is just an example. I think that is it with tuples. Let's see the functions that are under these. And in fact, they are quite the same with other data structures because we can check the tuple length, using the len function. I think by now you're familiar with the len function, this one. Then let's see what you can have. We are saying that tuple item can be of any data type, by the way. Also meaning you can have a tuple, like in this case we have tuple one having some fruits. These are strings, and a tuple two is having a series of numbers. We can have another tuple three here holding Boolean values. That is true, false, false. So meaning that tuples can hold any data type, right? So I think that is it with the tuples. And what else? Also, you can mix them. Like in this case where we have a string. Let me just comment this. Like in this case, we have a string, we have an integer, we have a boolean, we have another integer, we have another string. So meaning that it can hold a wide range of data types just within the same tuple. So I think that's all. And again, now I think now you're familiar with the type function. That this one is used to check the data type of a certain data structure. Like let us just try to check the data type of these. Uh, let's just um, confirm that this one is a tuple. So we can have another print, and then type, and then let's just try to run these. And now you can see that we have the output of our tuple, and then we have the type. It is of class. It is of class tuple. So this data structure, they are almost the same, but you should note the slight differences they have. What else? I don't think there is anything I'm leaving behind. I think that's all about tuples, by the way. I think that's all about tuples. And again, we have a constructor for constructing tuples. Instead of using these, you can also use a tuple. You can also use a tuple constructor to create a tuple. It's just that easy. And I think having said that, uh, we can continue with the other data type, which is array. And this is the most used data type, a data structure, by the way, the arrays in almost all programming languages. So I think we should have a look at this. And we are saying that an array is a special. Uh, oops, you're not able to see my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen? Someone to confirm. I think there is someone who said he can't see my screen. That is Carl. Carl, are you able to see my screen? Carl, can you confirm on your side? Maybe you can try to enlarge this. Let me just try to put a font of 20. I think 20 will be more visible. So I think that's okay now. So let's get to understand what are arrays. and how they are used in programming. And we are saying that array is a special variable which can hold more than one value at a time. I'll just give a case here. Let's say maybe we say that if you have a list of items, let's say now a list of car names, storing the cars in a single variables could look like this. Like we have the car one, which is Ford, we have car two, which is Volvo, we have car three, which is a BMW, right? We are saying now that, however, what if you want to loop through the cars and find a specific one? And we are checking a case where now you don't have three cars, you have 300 cars. Are you going like to have car one, car two, car three up to car 300? Oops. Let's say maybe up to car 300. We can say that we have Audi Apple. So you can imagine having 300 variables holding just one car. That one might not be the best way to store the car names. Simply because even if maybe let's say we have these variables up to the car 300, we are not going to we are not going like to implement the loop, because you cannot loop single variables. So the solution now to this is having an array. You have an array. You can call it cars, and then you have all the cars in that array. And I think I've represented that here. So we have cars, and then you notice that with arrays also we are using square brackets. And then you have the first element is BMW, Volvo, Ford. Then we can add Audi. We can have Audi here. Such as this one, capital BMW. Yeah. So this is the best way to represent all the cars, or to store the cars in an array. So now with this, you're able to get a specific one. Let's say we want Volvo. A Volvo is in index. Can someone tell us the index of Volvo? Someone is saying that is Amos saying index one, right? Because we always start from index zero. So this one is zero, this one is one, two, three. So meaning that if we want to get the Volvo, we must change this one this one to one. Oops. What is not happening here? Yeah, we can change this one too. Let's just try to run this and see if we're able to get the car at that index. You can indicate what you are doing here. Uh, Array of cars. Then if I run now this, I should not get any output because I have not printed X. So let me just try to print X. X. And then we have the car at index 1, which is Volvo. You can even change this one to maybe index 3. Let's change this one to 3 and see what happens. We have Audi. So that is the best way to represent your data. Anytime you have a number of items and you might want to loop through them, you can use an array now in this case. We can also use a for loop to print each item. I think by now you know how to, you know how to, I think by now you know how to use a for loop. So we can say for, let's say X is in our cars, we want to do what? We want to print this one. There should be a colon here. After saying for X in cars, and then a colon, and then you notice something that is happening here. When I just press my cursor here and press enter, you notice there is an indentation. That is from 4 to where I have print here. So meaning that, in fact, this one is a syntax. With Python, you must check this indentation. You are going to see that. So anytime you press your cursor after the colon, and then you just press enter, you should be able to there should be able to be an indentation that is from the for loop. That is to mean now that, in fact, if you miss an indentation, you will get an error, and even you can just read through that expected indented block. That is the error that we are getting simply because we didn't add an indentation. So indentation is part of the syntax here. But we are going to see that when we are covering these for loops. So when we just try to run that, we should be able to print each element at its own line. That is the BMW on its own line. We have Volvo, we have Ford, we have Audi. So there are several methods that I want us to check in an array, and I want us to check the adding array elements functions. With array in Python, we have a function that is called append, and append will help you to add an element in an array. So I think you can. This is how we use it. That is the name of your array, and then we use the dot operator. This one is called a dot operator, and then we invoke or we call this function that is called append. So when we just indicate the element that we want to append, let's see what will happen here. So before we loop through, I think you can just say that you want cars dot append. Let me just go away with the pop. Oops. Let's see what happens. So in our case here, we just have four of them. But if we run these now, you notice that we're also getting a Honda, meaning that the append function has. I think you can just indicate that append function will add That is item Honda in the array. So that is what will happen, and I think you can see that. So cars dot append, and then we loop through. Let me just remove this print. So cars dot append Honda, and then we loop through, and then you're able to get that Honda is now part of our array. You can see we have Honda here. There is another function that we can use to remove items, that is called pop. That is called a pop function. This one will now enable you now to remove elements in your array, and we just use it as a ped. That is a cast dot pop, and then we indicate the index that you want to remove. Also, you can choose to use remove. You can use pop or just remove. But with pop, we use the index. With remove, you indicate the value that you want to remove. Let's see that. I think you can say removing what? Removing elements from array using pop function. I think you can say cast dot pop. Let's indicate the index of Audi. It should be 3, right? And then let's try to loop through and see if you're going to have Audi in our list. So you notice that we don't have now the Audi, simply because we have removed it using the pop function. Let's see how you can remove using the remove function. So removing elements using remove function. So you're going to have cars dot, let's remove BMW. Remove, you can just remove Volvo, right? Let's remove Volvo. And now you notice that we don't have a Volvo in our list or in our array. Let me just remove this list here. So something just to note here is when using pop, you remove by index. But when you use the remove function, you indicate the element that you want to remove. So I think that is what you should note here. That is the slight difference between a pop and a remove function. So I don't know if there is any question regarding this. Harriet, are we together up to that point?
Yes, yes, we are.
Good. I think I have some question here. I have some questions here. So, and I want just to choose. I want to choose. I want to choose someone randomly, they'll choose a gentleman and a lady. So before I choose Ladomre, who is up for the task? It's just a task that is related to these arrays. Sylvia, how are you doing? Sylvia, are you in position to talk? Ah, good. So if you're in position to talk, then okay. Are you able to share your screen? I'm waiting for you. Are you able to share your screen with us?
I'm using my phone right now. I can't be able to share it.
Okay. What about Charlotte? Carl, are you using your laptop? Carl, are you using your laptop? Or also you're using a phone? Maybe you can. Okay, who is in a position to share his or her screen? I think Amos is in position. What about a lady? Megan, are you using a laptop? I think there is someone who is. Let me see this. It's just a simple task. So, Amos, I think you can just share your screen. In fact, this one is it's a very easy task. Good. I think Amos has shared his screen. Good. So, Amos, I need you to create an array with 5 elements. I think you can just note somewhere, create an array with 5 elements. An array with 5 elements. Yes, I think you can create as an array with 5 elements. And then I'll give I can see Amos is creating an array of phones. Good. Now using pop, can you remove the first two elements? And I think that is very easy. Then you can just print out you can print the output. Amos, you have an error. You can just point someone to help you debug. I can see you have a slight error somewhere. Who can see the error? Yes, I can see Manu. Where is Manu? Who can see the error? Where is the error in that code? You can just raise up your hand. Who can see where the error is? Sylvia, now that you are not using, yes, we have Gilbert. Yeah, Gilbert, can you help? Gilbert? Yes, yes.
This the code is the hash remove element from array using population function, then goes with the index.
Sorry, I don't think you're audible enough, Gilbert. Gilbert, are you in position to help? Because I don't think you're audible enough. Okay, Sylvia, can you help? Or anyone else who can see the problem? Let's have, let me see. Lynette, can you help? You can just unmute. Carl, can you see the problem?
Maybe the comma.
Then it should be okay. Amos, can you remove the comma? Then we want to print the output. He's still getting an error. Someone to help. Someone to help. You guys, you don't want to debug this code. Yes, Harriet?
I'm not sure. I'm just trying.
Yeah.
Maybe is it because he has used the function pop twice, like pop 0, pop 1. Instead of using one of it.
Instead of using one of it. I don't think that could be the issue. But Amos, can you first try to pop the first element? In fact, your issue, I can see your issue is somewhere with indentation. You can just control Z to undo the S, and then now you should remove all the indentation. Yes, up to that point, even for the yes, and even for the first line. And then just try to run that, but you are not going to get an output simply because you are not printing out. So print out fonts. And then run that. Yes, now you can see you have you have removed Oppo. You have removed Oppo and Oppo is at index 0, and I think how is it removing? We have Redmi, Techno. Let me see this. Okay, Carl Mano.
I think
Yeah.
it popped Oppo, then Samsung became index 0, so Techno became index 1.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. So I don't know if there is any question with that. And this is how you're going to be approaching this. We learn something and then we see how you can implement it. Because by the way, when you just write this program on your own, it happens that you get some errors. It might seem easy while I'm doing it, but now on your head you learn into some issues. So I think it's always right to you try to do it yourself. That is on your end, so that when you get an issue, you just raise up your hand so that we can help you debug it. So Amos, are you okay with that now?
A question. Like the instructions were removed, the first two elements.
Yes.
that is Oppo and Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
But in my output,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting Samsung,
Mm-hmm.
Xiaomi, and Redmi.
Yes.
Now I should like follow the instructions. So like I'm still not even I've not even got the answer.
It's how you have used the pop. You see, when you remove the first element at index 0, Oppo, Samsung will take the Samsung will take the 0th index, right? That is the first pop. Can you just comment out
Yeah.
can you comment out the second pop? You can just comment it out. Yes, can you run that? Now you have Samsung. You have Samsung at index. Samsung at index 0, right? So can you copy paste now phones.pop0 again? Chemos. Yeah. Copy that. Can you run? Now you have removed the first two elements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be the answer. Simply because when you remove the first one, and the second one will take the zeroth what index. So you should have like pop 0 twice. I think that is clear with everyone. So I think that's okay. You can just try now to can you also use now remove function. You can comment out the pop. Yeah, comment out that. Can you control Z? Just control Z to undo the changes. Yes, I want you to comment out. You comment out those lines, not removing them. We said there is a shortcut. You can just highlight you highlight two lines and then you control backward slash. I don't know if you are able to see. Yeah, control backward slash. I don't know if you're able to rotate that in your keyboard. But anyway, you can just use you can just hash, you can just put hash in front of the two lines. Yes. Good. Now below that you can also remove the first two elements using the remove function. Yeah. You know the reason why you are getting that. I think you want to use shortcut, but the remove function only takes one argument. You cannot put two. Yes, and then you can just repeat that for the second element. Why did you comment out the first one, the first remove? Yeah, I think you should run that now. And now you notice that you are getting the same output as for pop. But with pop, remember, you input the index or remove the name of the element that you want to remove. I think that's okay, Amos. I think you guys, you can just clap for Amos. Good. For that presentation. Let me just resume my presentation. So any question concerning that? Do you have any question? And that's all about, now that's all about the arrays. I mean the data, all the data structures that we have. That is the arrays, that is the tuples, the list, and dictionary. Those are the most used data structures in Python. So I think if we have time, we can just go through something else. Just try to upload something here. Do you have any question with data structures? You can just ask any question before we move to a different thing. And by the way, those data structures, you should do a wide research on them. You should do an extensive research on that. So let's cover the conditions. That is the conditions in the Python conditional statements. They are called the conditional statements. We are going to check conditional statements in Python, so that at least now you can see how these things operate now. So in Python we have something we call the if statement. We have something we call the if statement, and the if statement, let me just show you how you can use an if statement. And this is the, let me see that. I think there is somewhere we learned what. Let me check these operators. There is something we checked, logical conditions, right? the logical operators. So if statements are used with logical operators, so that let's say maybe you want something to happen. Let's say if this happens, something else should execute, else something else should execute. So with this, we are going to see how digital calculator works. But even maybe we can check, let's see what we have here. You might not have time to create a digital calculator, but we can just check how the if statement works in general. And as I've already said that the if statement is used with logical operators. So you must have a logical operator is a greater than, equal to, greater or equal to, so that now you're able to use the if statement. Like for example, here we have A is equals to 331, B is equals to 23. So if statement, now we can have if B is greater than A. I think I should start with, let me just start with the syntax here so that you guys you can understand this. So let me add something here. It should be somewhere here. The syntax for using if statement. So you're always going to start with the if. Let me put this in. So the if, and then that is it's seconded by what? The logical condition. Should be condition. And then we have a colon, and then below it, of course, there must be indentation. I think you can just there must be indentation, and then the other statements follows. You can have statements to execute. So what normally happens is that if this logical condition is true, the statement below this will execute, right? Before even we introduce the else part, I think it's good we first check how this works. The if logical condition, this statement will execute. And I can see Harriet has a hands is up.
Yeah, I have a question
Yes,
about the indentation.
Yeah.
Like, is there a rule about how far you should indent something?
Yes.
What is the rule?
It should be just one indent. Let's say maybe you are starting from a statement from the corner here. Then if something, let's say if 10 is greater than 5, and then we have an indent here. So like in this case, I think I've set this one to just to have 2 indents, but immediately you put a semicolon here and you just press
Oh, okay.
enter. You should be able to by default there is an indent. I don't know if you can see that. So when you just pause your cursor there and then you just press enter, by default you get an indent. If you want to put it manually, you can just maybe bring your cursor here and just have one indent, just one space, and then it will be enough.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. So that is exactly that, the if logical condition and then the statement to execute. So we can have, let's say, if 10 is greater than, if 10 is greater than 5, we execute, we can execute this statement. We can print something here. We can print that 10 is greater than 5, right? I think that is it with the if statement. So let's say you have multiple what? Let's say maybe you have multiple outcomes that you want to that maybe you want to print out. So let's say now, let's say 10 is not greater than 10 is not greater than 5. So I think now we should introduce the else part. And before even we introduce the else part, we can have the something you call there is else. You can have an else here. If 10 is greater than 5, we print this. If maybe 10 is less than 10 is less than another number, I think the best thing here is to introduce some variables. So we say that a is equals to something like 10, and b is greater. B is equals to something like 20. So that now we can say that if b, we can have if b is greater than a, we want to print b is greater than a. Else, now a, we are just assuming, this one is just an assumption. Else part will now print that if then b is not greater than a, we are going to have that a is greater than b. But this is not an ideal case because a can be equal to b, right? So meaning we can have a check for that, and a check for that we introduce now the something you call the L if, or the short form for, or maybe the short the short form for else if. Else if let's say maybe think now we can say else if a is greater than b, we can have now this. We can print this here. So that now we can have an ideal case. I think that then what if now a is equal to b? So we can now have the else part. With the else part now we can say that we print a is equal to b. Now you can see with this we have covered all the outcomes that that we can get from these two variables. A can be b can be greater than a can be greater than b, and we have an else case where a can be equal to b. So this is now this is how we use the if statement, just to make sure that all the possible outcomes are catered for. That is now using these logical conditions. In fact, you can just run this and see. I think you can just run this in a different cell. Let's have it here. So let's execute this. And see what happens. Oops. Oh, I forgot to put a colon here. So we can see in this case that B is greater than A. It is true that 20 is greater than 10. So meaning we are printing this, the first statement. What if now we change this one to maybe something like 100, and that we execute this one? You see that we are getting now A is greater than B. What if we put this one to 20 and run this? You notice that we are getting now A is equal to B, meaning that now we have covered all the possible outcomes for this case. So I don't know if there is any question regarding this. Any question from Gilbert?
I'm good.
Are you good? I think you can just indicate that. This is how we use the if, it's called the if statement. Conditional if statement. Basically, that is how we use the if statement. You can have as many if statement as you want, and elif statements as you want, but else case is always one. So I think you should note that. What else should we check here? I think that is it for the if statement. And after if statement, now I want us to check something else that is called looping. We have two loops. Basically, we have two loops. We have a while loop and we have a for loop. I think that is the next thing that we are going to check how they work and how they are used. So we have Python loops. There are two while loops and for loops. So let's see how they work. And we are going to start with the while loop. We say that with the while loop, we can execute a set of statements as long as condition is true. So meaning we can execute a set of statement as long as the condition is true. And this is something that you should be keen with this one, the while loop, because it can execute to infinity. So meaning that if the condition is true, it will continue to execute. And we have an example here. You have a good example here. I had created a nice example here. That is the while loop. I think I can let me just copy these. Yeah, let me just copy these. Just copy that very fast. So this is an example of a while loop. I think you can just uncomment these. So we have a program here, and we are saying that we are initializing I to I is just is a variable here. We're initializing it to 1. And now the condition here. We are saying that while I is less than 7, we want to print I. So let's see this, by the way. Let me just comment out this. So we are saying that while I is less than 7, so you notice this is the condition we are giving our program here. We want to keep printing I. So let's see what happens when we run that. So I don't know why the machine is hanging. Oops. Let me just try to reload this. I don't know what is not happening here. Let me just try to reload it. Yeah, I think it's just right here. So now let me explain what is happening here. So when I remove this part, of this part of the code, and I'll explain what it does. You notice that we said that I is equals to 1. And in our condition here, we are saying that while I is less than 7, we want to print I. So what will happen now? Our I is less than 7, right? So meaning that we are going to print 1 to infinity. Simply because now the value of I is not changing. And 1 will remain to be less than 7 during this program. So meaning that we are going to print I up to infinity. And that is why you can see so many ones here. And this is something that can run even can even run more than 1 year, 2 years, every day. That is why I say that you should be careful when using while loop, because what normally happens, it will just it will make it can make even your machine to hang, because it will execute to infinity. So the essence of having this code here is that I just wanted to print 1 to 7, or 1 to 6. So I can have now this line of code here. I say that I want to print I, but that I should be we should just print 1 in the first case, and then the second loop we are going to have I plus 1. And now if we have I plus 1, it means that the third loop we are going to have the value of y now as 2 plus 1. So let's just run this and notice something. Now we have 1 to 6, simply because the first case of this loop we had the value of y as 1. That is what we printed. When we loop the second time, the value of y now will be I plus 1. So, and that is why we are getting 2. So now the third loop we are going to have the value of I as 2, and that is why we are having, I think this one we say that this one is same as I plus 1. If you can remember this, I'm hoping that you guys can remember this. This one just means that this one is same as I plus 1. When you say plus is equals to 1. And now this one will happen until now the value of y will be less than 7. You notice that if we loop again now, we are going to have 7. 7 is less than 7, which is not true. So meaning that we are going to stop at 6. That is how the while loops operate. Again, you should be careful when using the while loops, or else you're going to run into some problems. I don't know if there is any question. Also, with this one, you can let me show you something. How is this? You can just print maybe something else. Let's see. You can just print something else, but it will print 6 times, right? You can maybe have I know programming. You can print that. I know programming. But now it will count the number of words that you have. So let's see that. Oops. Let's do away with this. Let's have I know. You can just remove this. And now you notice that we are printing these statement 6 times. If you want to print them 10 times, you're just going to change the number of you're going to change just to change something in the condition, so that now we are going to print this statement as long as I is less than 10. So if you want to print it 10 times, we are going to use 11 times. So, and you can see we're able to print that 10 times, simply because the condition will keep checking up to the 10th time. So I don't know if you guys you understand that. That is what we mean by this definition here. When we say with while loop, we can execute a set of statement as long as the condition is true. This statement here. I think you can just try that on your end. You can try that on your end. So we introduce a break statement in the while loop, and with break statement we can stop the loop even if the while condition is true. So meaning that let's say maybe you want to let me show you something here. Why is this? Yeah, I think it's in this case. We are saying that when I is less than 11, we want to print this. But now we can bring a break statement such that even if our condition is true, we can stop that. We can stop that. Execution. And how do we implement this? We bring in the if statement. We say that let's say maybe we have if we can say if I is equal to let's say is equals to something like 4. We want to put a break. So what will happen here? Now our condition here will not execute until we have I is less than 11, simply because now we have put an if statement here. And we want at where I is equals to 4 now, we want to put a break. And if it just happen to run these, oops, I'm getting an error here. I don't know. I think the problem is with these. Just try to execute that again. Oops, just a minute. Okay, break. Let me just try to run this again. I'm told that this one doesn't match any level. Oops, this one will run up to infinity. Just try to stop that. Oops. You can see what is happening now. I just messed up with this while loop, and now I can see my machine is hanging here. Let me just try to rerun this. You can see the error I'm getting here. I'm already running into some issues. Let me try to reload this. That is why I said you should be very careful when dealing with these while loops. What is this? Hmm. What is this? I think it's somewhere up here. Let's try to stop this. And I've interrupted that. So meaning that I was saying that we can now put a break. We can put a break somewhere here. Let me just try to put that break now. Was it in this code? Let me check. Yes, we want to put a break here. So print this. So let's print this. I know how to code. So when I run this, it's going to print 2 times. I don't know why it's taking much time. Let me run that again. Oops. Let me just try to execute this in another cell. Are you guys able to see my screen? Oops. Yeah, so sorry for that. I think it's some issues with internet. But I think I'm back. Are you able to hear me from your end? So someone to confirm? I think just, in fact, it's just 2 minutes and then we just leave this. We leave the session. So let me just share my screen. I think today there is some issues with internet, but are you able to see my screen? So someone to confirm? Okay, good. So I think I left you at a point where you were trying to put a break on a while loop. And that is what I want to do in the next 2 minutes, and then we can leave. So this is the case where we were trying to put. Okay, let me just copy this code here. Let me copy that and I put it in a different cell. So if we try to run this, we are saying that I is equals to 1, while I is less than 6. We print I, and then you notice if I just happen to comment out this break and I will run this, let's see what happens. You notice that I'm printing 1 to 5. Maybe you can change the message here to, I know how to code. That is in Python. So if we try to run this, we are going to have we are going to print I know how to code in Python 5 times. But now we can put a break such that we just get the first three output. And that is why we now introduce the if part. If I is equals to 3 now, we need a break. And now if we run this, you notice that we are getting the first. We are getting just three lines of I know how to code. So meaning that we can use a break to stop the while loop, even if the condition is still true. So that is how we do it. Any question? I think that is what I had left behind. Yeah, I think that is it. So